Hello. Okay, so there's a couple things that I want to share with you guys tonight, and please feel free to share your feedback, your input in the comments. I'd love to hear what you all are experiencing. If you have any questions, if you have anything at all that you would love to share and add to the conversation, I would be honored to just read what it is that you have to share and express. So please feel free to comment in the comments below. So a couple of things that I wanted to channel through tonight were creating reality hyperloops and sacred relationship and intimacy with reality as a way to co-create magic rapidly, miracles rapidly in your reality. So creating hyperloops. So this is really about becoming the self-authorized authors of our reality. And the truth is, if we want to manifest the life of our dreams at every single level, every level, in health, in relationships, in finances, in service, in spirituality, did I say relationships? Relationships. At every single level and experience total life satisfaction and fulfillment in the moment. You know, it's like, well, what comes up for me, because these are some of my favorite frequencies to cultivate and experience within myself, is like a child on Christmas morning, and you've got warm butterflies in your belly, and you're so excited to wake up and just greet the miracles and the serendipities and the gifts of the day, and you just feel that natural, organic high for life, you know, and it's ecstasy, bliss, really. It's feeling that pure, clean energy of source moving through our body, and to upgrade ourselves to that octave, that dimensional octave of experience, requires a complete transfiguration of mind. So mind is not just this gorgeous, you know, brain that we have in between our ears. It is our entire physical body, and our physical body is actually our unconscious and our subconscious mind. So if you want to tap into what your story is, or what your, you know, your unconscious mind may be creating, it's really essential to feel into your body and see what's happening at the level of felt perception and sensation. And so hyperloops, because everything in the outside world is a projection of code, the code that we have occurring within ourselves. And so I have found it extraordinarily valuable to create massive quantum leaps in my journey, to create hyperloops within myself. So hyperloops of positive thinking, but not just positive thinking, very intentional, deliberate thinking, invoking and calling forth the reality that I want to align myself with. And that's going to look different for each of us, because it really is contingent upon what our personal next level of expansion is, because we're all experiencing something quite different and special and unique in our reality. So whatever your next expansion is, really getting clear on what it is that you want to experience next. What is the next level of fulfillment for me in all these different dimensions of life that we just talked about? And, you know, grabbing a journal, writing that down, clarifying your vision, clarifying your desires, clarifying the way that you want to viscerally feel in your body, and then on a daily basis cultivating hyperloops. So hyperloops in your mind, hyperloops in sensation and vibration. So there's a lot of different ways that you can cultivate this. One, you know, once you have the clarity of what you want to create, you can start thinking about it and empowering it with your intention and your focus. And you can also, and this is just for a segmented time a day, or you can do a walking hyperloop too. That's always fun. I prefer, you know, if I'm living, to be living and fully engaged and present to what I'm experiencing in the moment. But if you're in a space where you're spending time with yourself and you find yourself running an old program of some kind, that's a perfect time to just insert the new program, the new hyperloop, and to create new neural pathways in your brain around that story. And it's really not essential to do anything with the old story, because you can overwrite your cellular memory with truth, with your soul essence, your divine nature, and with the storylines, the novels, the books that best align to that dimension of yourself. And you can start that right now. And cultivating frequency and vibration by getting in your body, listening to music, using drums and rattles, and just surrounding yourself by, well, for me, I love to surround myself by beauty in every possible conceivable way. So aesthetics, environments, candles, crystals, essential oils, long, hot, delicious salt baths, anything that I can do that aligns to my essence and amplifies the frequency that I want to experience more of. And these are all different ways that we code ourselves with data and information, because we really are these gorgeous, sentient, divine supercomputers, and we're constantly coding ourselves with a vibrational story, an informational story, depending on what we select to experience inside of our reality. So creating hyper feedback loops radically enhances the amount of light in your body, because light at its core nature is information. It's sentient data and information, and when we choose high quality information and coding, and we perpetuate a hyper loop of that, we start to hardwire that into our system, and that becomes it becomes a part of our hardware, which is our physical, tangible, biological systems. And as we cultivate a new frequency by getting into our body and experiencing more of the resonance of that which we desire to create, and really feeling it, allowing it to land deeply in all the dimensions of our body, then we upgrade our software. So that's our sentience, our feeling nature. And if we take this space to do this every single day, it creates profound and rapid results. And one of the ways that I love to create results and help people to create results is to go directly to the result. So if you're trying to create results in any dimension of your life, and this is the power of activations too, which we'll get into in a second, go directly to empowering the result of that thing. Naturally and automatically, all of your unconscious programs will be guided into a process of clearing, of release, and it'll become quite apparent to you as you empower your new story what is not aligned to that within your own being and within your reality. And you will be guided to lovingly, compassionately, with thanksgiving for the service that is provided in your experience, release and let those things go. But you don't have to go searching and hunting for those things. It will be made very clear and obvious and apparent for you as you begin to align to pure prosperity in your life and that which you do desire to experience. And you take the space to create this in feeling, in thought, and then also through meditation. So the power of meditation, which the way I experience it is creating absolute stillness, inner stillness, so no mind. That creates the space of allowing, where you actually have the room within yourself to receive what you've been calling in. So cultivating mind, doing activations, cultivating the frequency that you want to experience more of, and then creating that sacred inner space so that it can actually land in your reality. And I'll do a completely separate video about influence at a different time, because when we're receiving, it's important to, I call it active receiving, because you're actually orchestrating the different dimensions of your being, of self, of consciousness, to bring you that which you have invoked. And that's just a completely different metaphysical, esoteric dimension of this, and we'll talk about that in a different video. But so those are 3 things that you can start putting into practice now. And another one is cultivating intimacy with reality. So activations, it's a way to set pure and deliberate intentions for reality. It's a way to code our body, our cells, our DNA, with information that then emanates from us and becomes our physical reality, and also emanates out into our aura, which is, our field of attraction. So light, one of the most simple ways to describe the law of attraction is the light. The more light that we embody, the more light that we are, the more attractive we become, because light is who we are in essence, as divine source, as pure, positive energy. So the more we cultivate light within and around ourselves, just the more attractive we become in a sense. And then, at some point, we become the embodiment of that. So it literally naturally emanates through all the dimensions of our being, and we're attracted. We become the vortex, essentially. We're not trying to get in it. We're not trying to find our alignment. We become alignment. We become, a vortex of pure cosmic divine source energy that is naturally attractive. And by virtue of that, whatever isn't resonant with that will naturally also be released from our reality and our experience. And it also gives you great discerning power, because when you're living in that alignment to your true nature and your true self, you can discern things much more easily, and what is aligned to you, what isn't aligned to you, and having compassion for everything that we see always, because we are one, and it's all us. It's all us. And so having compassion is the baseline, fundamental, core principle that we embody in all that we do, and all that we see, and all that we witness, and all that we experience. In holding everyone in their highest divine nature, and their highest, most expanded divine soul light in all moments to the best of our capacity, and really practicing that. And so intimacy with reality. So we're always having a communication with ourselves, whether we call it an invocation, or we call it prayer, or we call it an activation. We're always in conversation with reality. And, it's beautiful to really drop in with ourselves and see, what kind of conversation am I having with myself? In my mind, what story am I perpetuating? Is it a story that I would love to experience and expand, or, experience more of, or in a different way, or cultivate and grow? Or is it something that I'm ready to release? So the first step is really becoming aware of the conversations that we're having with ourselves, with our hologram, with our reality, from moment to moment to moment. And, it's always a conversation with the expanded multiple dimensions of you, of me, of we, of ourself. And so what I've noticed with my reality is that companionship, intimacy works best. So having a sacred relationship with reality, and having that relationship be my primary relationship. And, we think of it as source sometimes as this thing that's way expanded and outside of us, but really it is us, and is everything that we see. Source is all that is. And there's different dimensions of source embodiment. There's pure source, and then there's what we have consciously chosen to, or unconsciously chosen to create in this reality. But that essence of source underlies all that exists, and it's encoded in everything around us. Is the essence of soul that all energy and consciousness inherently is, as its true nature. And so I just have a really real conversation with my reality when I want to attract something, invoke something, create something, and it's just honest and sincere and genuine, and it just loosens things up so much, and it's so much more effective too, I find. And it really cultivates the feeling of companionship. So when I develop that relationship, first primarily with myself, with my body, with my heart, and my soul and my being, then I can really start to have that relationship with my reality, my higher self, with source, the reality that surrounds me, the people in my life. And that relationship that we cultivate is really the most important aspect and dimension of creation, that intimacy. There's a quote, and I don't remember who it's by, but it's magic is intimacy with reality, and that is so true, because this is a co-creative process. None of us is an island. It's just not even possible. Separation and is just one of the only impossibilities in this expansive, boundless, infinite creation that we live in, where there's pure possibility, pure potentiality, unlimited options and choices that we have to expand into. Separation is not one of them, because wherever we go, there we are, and not just there we are, but everything around us is living, breathing, vital consciousness. So even if we're not interacting directly with other people and humans or nature, we're interacting with what appear to be tangible, solid, physical things, which are also expressions of energy and consciousness, and all of it is vital and alive. And there's a whole science to that too. If we take a microscope to anything physical and tangible, including our cells, what we'll start to see are cells and electrons and neutrons and particles and molecules and atoms and photons, particles of light. We get down to cells and cell membranes and nucleuses, and essentially our DNA, which is actually the core of coding for this human existence. So another thing that I recommend, if you're trying to code your reality, it's beautiful to work in all these dimensions that we just talked about: resonance, frequency, vibration, working with the dimension of the mind, heart, which is how we develop an intimate connection and relationship and conversation with our reality when we're expressing our sincere, genuine, and authentic truth. And we're just being really real about what it is that we want to experience. And coming from that really pure place is one of the fastest ways to manifest results in your reality. Heart. It all happens from the heart. Co-creation happens from the heart. So creating the hyperloops is how we radically enhance, accelerate, and expand and transfigure our internal coding, which is the data that is imprinted in the cellular memory of our body and our consciousness, and having this really intimate heart-to-heart connection with Source, our higher self, our reality, our own heart, however we choose to connect in with that energy, is what creates profoundly accelerated miracles in our reality. Is the heart space, the open heart. Where were we going? There is another space that wanted to be opened. Mind, heart, bodies, DNA. Okay. So the DNA is the core of our coding. So it holds the holographic blueprint for self-realization and then embodied self-actualization, so that we self-actualize as embodied Source on the planet. And then we're really living our cosmic dharma, our true life path, our expanded service, our expanded legacy on the planet. And our DNA it's light code, it's light. And as we start to really relax and melt into our body, our DNA can expand. And when our DNA expands, what it does is it releases higher dimensional consciousness and higher dimensional coding into our conscious mind. So this is where revelations and epiphanies and greater self-realization and understanding comes from, because we are opening. So we're releasing contraction from our field. We're coming into coherence, and we're allowing the helix of the DNA to expand and release higher consciousness, expanded consciousness into our conscious mind. And we gain more knowledge, wisdom, and true insight. And paradoxically, that ascension occurs by melting deeply within ourselves and into ourselves, feeling into all the dimensions of our body, getting to know the deep aspects of mind and our subconscious mind and what we have going on, feeling anywhere in our body where there is resistance and contraction, and gracefully, lovingly, just releasing into it, releasing into prosperity, releasing into the light, and then allowing that light to be birthed within us. And, this is where, new creative ideas come to us, like just sonic awareness starts to come into us, and we start to hypercompute and, have really expanded awarenesses into the nature of who and what we are, into the nature of what all of this is that we are experiencing, the relationship between the microcosm and the macrocosm, and realizing that a lot of it it's just a mirror. It's just a complete mirror, just in different dimensions. And in each of these dimensions, nature operates by different, principles, I will say. We're working in the Newtonian reality. The rules that we play by are going to be completely different than if we're operating by a quantum reality. When in the quantum reality, creation is instant. It is instantaneous. And, there's just attunements and adjustments that we make in our energy field to allow for that instant creation to happen. And I'm sure we'll cover that in another video also. So going directly to the source within ourselves, our DNA, and imprinting code on that, and then allowing that code to blossom and flower within us. So it's a simultaneous imprinting and coding of prosperity, of love, of beauty, of abundance, of desire. So one of the ways that if I want to manifest more abundance in my life, one of the things that I do is I create new code in my DNA, and I code myself with richness and pleasure and bliss and wealth. And I see and cultivate those frequencies using my third eye, vision, my imagination. I really let that coding saturate in my DNA, and I empower it, and I allow it to be fully absorbed into the core of what my creative, it's kind of like it's like a transmitter, it transmits signals into my reality. So the DNA then transmits signals into the rest of my being, into all my cellular structures, my physical structures, my mental structures, emotional structures, out into the causal body, the astral body, multidimensional body, divine avatar, all the way into the expanse of creation. And so the DNA is really the core, and then it emanates that coding throughout all dimensions of my being. And I have found that is the most accelerated way to create results in the physical world, is to imprint that coding in the DNA, and then create that sacred space that we talked about to expand the DNA, the helix of the DNA, which also upgrades our spiritual DNA, as most of us, I'm sure, are aware of. Most humans are operating at a 2-strand DNA structure. There are humans on the planet operating at a 3 and a 4-strand DNA structure, and they would be what we would consider hybrids or transhumans. And so we create that space for that flowering to happen. So we start to utilize and access more of our true potential as spiritual beings. 99.9999% of existence is space, is energy, is consciousness. The other 0.00001% is physical matter. So all the physical matter is created from that space. So space is really important. The space is really something to become intimate with, aware of within ourselves, to create within ourselves, and to allow alignment, to allow that expansion of our true potential and our spiritual DNA, and really then our supernatural power that we have to create in this reality to be revealed to us, and then we can start operating on a whole different level of self-actualized potential and creation. So coding the DNA, and then creating space for the holographic blueprint of our DNA that is already embedded within us to emerge more fully. So yeah, exciting stuff. I know we just traversed several dimensions as per usual. So creating hyperloops, creating somatic, visceral reality, the felt perceptions that we want to experience more of, and becoming lighthouses, just sending out the signals of what it is that we want to experience. and then coding our DNA directly and creating sacred space to receive at a quantum level. And I'll get into intentional receiving in a different video, because that is really important when we're creating inner space with the intention to receive more of our divine nature, and also to receive more of that which we want to experience in our physical creation. Yeah. So I hope this is supportive of you in some way, that you got a nugget out of this somewhere. If, of course, please, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, share. And I'm going to post this to my YouTube. So like and subscribe, share this wherever you think that it may be helpful and supportive of other people. And please, please, please leave your comments and your feedback and your questions and your experience, your opinion, your voice, your truth in the comments, please, so that we can have an engaged conversation. I love you guys so much. I appreciate you. So excited to be sharing a new video with you, and excited to hear your comments, what you experienced through this, any takeaways that you have. And I love you, and I will connect with you guys soon.